Greetings from Pittsburgh. It's Rona. I've just returned from my local theater after watching the 5 hours of Berlioz's epic opera Les Troyens, which was transmitted live from the Met. A few words about things in general. When the opera began, the feed in my theater was very poor. It sounded like people were singing from far away and compressed. I was quite unhappy. Things got a little better. I could tell that the Met was adjusting some of the sound, but it really didn't get good. But putting that aside, I'm very glad I went today because it's not every day that you get to see this opera. It is epic in every sense of the word. It's a grand story. It's based on Virgil's Aeneid, which is a gazillion pages long. And, of course, it's mythical. And the opera is called Les Troyens, which means the Trojens. And when I was growing up, I knew that there was the Helen of Troy story, the story of the Trojan horse. And later I found out that some of this myth was based on fact. However, when Berlioz wrote this opera between 1858 and 1860, he did not know that there was such a real place as Troy, although people had suspected it. Not only did he write the music, he wrote the libretto as well. My main problem with this opera is that the story just doesn't compel me. I don't feel any great sympathy or hatred or anything for any of the characters. In other great epic operas based on myths, such as Wagner's operas, I get very involved in the characters, as many people do. Now, I know I may be alone in this, but it was just my feeling. So, 5 hours. What did it all add up to? I'm going to try to stick to the good points because there were so many. I have to start out with the element that I think encapsulates the entire afternoon. There was something of beauty, grandeur, Olympian, magnificent, graceful, glorious, and divine in the person of Susan Graham. I cannot say enough good things about the way she portrayed Dido, as we call her, or Dido, as she's called in the opera. I've heard her live before, and I thought she was very good, but I did not love her. And I think that's because the role I heard her sing in did not fully show off everything she can do. This is a marathon role. I don't know, from a factual standpoint, if it's the longest female role in an opera. Maybe Isolde is, maybe there are others, I don't know. But it's long enough. Not only is her voice beautiful and the way she carries herself, some of the other things that I noticed about her is that she moves like a dancer. Her hands were so expressive. I wish I could do it myself, how she did all these little things with her hands. She completely inhabited the role of this queen. After her, the next most fabulous thing about the opera was the totality of it. It's an enormous story. There's an enormous chorus. The orchestration is large. The production that the Met put on, I thought was beautiful. I heard a few negative comments from some of my friends who've seen it and some of the people I know who review it. And while they had their points, overall, it was a glorious production. The opening of the second part, which is Act 3, is so beautiful. All the people from Carthage are waving these beautiful golden and white banners with a big blue background in the back. And there are some other beautiful scenes. The scene where Dido and Aeneas sing their beautiful love duet is just so gorgeous. The two of them are lying on this sort of rock. draped in red satin, which before was kind of her throne, and the stage was it was in a round, and it was moving around, and the slaves and other people were lying around, and they were singing this gorgeous music. A lot of this music reminded me of Berlioz's songs, with which I'm much more familiar than this opera or any other opera he's written. The only other piece I really know well by him is Symphonie Fantastique. And it's similar to that too, musically. So there was more than just Susan Graham in this opera. There was a lot of really excellent singing and excellent stagecraft. Aside from the production being so beautiful, the costumes were gorgeous. And in the second act, Susan Graham wore this luscious gown of violet purple, one of my favorite colors. She just looked like an angel. Other cast members who just were fabulous was somebody I've never heard of before, Karen Cargill. She is a mezzo. What a great voice. Eric Cutler did the role of Eopas. He has a beautiful aria. It was a highlight. In the first act, Dwayne Croft, a singer I really like, did not sound good on the feed, so I'm not going to say anything negative about him. And the same thing was true with Deborah Voigt. She did not sound good on the feed. But she was very good as an actress. She sort of held her own. Although I know what she sounds like, and I think even had the feed improved, I was not going to be in love with the way she sang. The chorus, which was augmented for today, was also, just what can you say, great. There was also several ballets. But the real hero was the one who played Aeneas, and that was Bryan Hymel. He stepped in, as most of you know who've lived on this planet and read the New York Times or any other major news report. He stepped in to replace Marcello Giordani and was a star overnight. And sometimes when you read great press about somebody, you are disappointed. However, he actually exceeded my expectations, if that's possible. In his last big aria, he ends on the word espoir, and he has to end on a very high note. I don't know what that note was, a B flat, a B, for all I know it was a C. I don't think so. It was really high. And he had to jump into it. And it was so great. And he held it for so long in such a fabulous way. The audience just went wild. Of course, that's to take away nothing from the rest of his singing, which was also wonderful. And he and Susan Graham were just a beautiful couple singing their duets together, as were Susan Graham and Karen Cargill singing their duets together. One other word about the staging. In the first act, there's a lot of play with the chorus and dancers where their hands are up and people are in the air, all to show the ravages of war and the cost of war. It was very well done. There were also some terrific intermission features. One of my favorite was watching, however you pronounce his name, Piotr Bexala, doing the Duke from an upcoming production of Rigoletto, which is going to take place in Las Vegas. Can't wait for that. And Joyce DiDonato singing the part of her last duet in Maria Stuarda, where she calls Elizabeth, "you vile bastard." And that was also terrific. All the intermission features were great. Overall, it was worth my $24, $22 for the ticket and $2 for the surcharge. And I will be seeing several coming up. So I hope if you didn't get a chance to see it today, go and watch the encore. It's just a wonderful production, and you're not going to see it most likely in your local theater by your local opera company. Good night.